Hi, Jill, are you there? Hi, Jill.
Hello, how
Hi.
are you?
Good. I'm Shavetta. I will be the tech host.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for arriving. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. I'm gonna put the loop on that just plays for before the session starts. And yeah, when your co-presenters join you, we will yeah, I think, well, while I have you here, let me check a couple things with you. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to be posting chat comments onto the screen as people chat, and you don't have to respond to them right away. They're just kind of like a ticker, like when you're watching the news or whatever maybe you saw in the opening ones. I'll just show people like, oh, your comments are getting read. You can respond, you don't have to. Would you be comfortable looking at the comments yourself and in StreamYard and responding to them as they come, or do you want me to sort of come off screen when I see comments and kind of bring them to your attention? What's your preference?
Will I be responding to them? I'm
Like
not
if there's a question in the comments, would you want me to interrupt and come in, or do you want to just look at the comments when you are ready and engage with them?
You can come in because I will probably be too nervous to to do multitask here.
Okay. Um, okay, I see Janet is saying she's logged in.
But look, give the questions to Janet, okay? And so I see on my screen, I'm not doing anything because I see on my screen, my screen, stream this to your audience. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not touching anything, am I?
Hang on just one second. Yeah, okay. So do you guys have slides ready to go, or
Janet is in charge of the slide.
okay, Janet is here saying she's trying to get in. Something is weird. Koulla and I are together. Shoot, we're in session 1 discourse strategies, right?
Yes.
Wait,
Yes.
or are we supposed to be in session 2? Shoot. Hold on one second. Let me see. Session.
11 o'clock, I guess.
Oh, okay. So we're supposed to be in session 2.
So you're gonna send a different link? You want me to log out?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to manage the chat too. The WhatsApp chat with everyone in it. I don't know. I feel like this is discourse strategies, right? And that's what the title at the top says. So it looks like we're in the right one. Oh, here we go. Here's Janet.
Are you able to check your email and find the latest link?
Can I see Janet? I don't see her now.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Hi, Janet.
Hi,
Janet, you bring me comfort.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. That was so weird.
Because I kept popping in, and I'm like, I don't see anybody at 10:30. I popped in again. I was like,
we are good. Jill?
Yes.
Heart? Everything's going to be good. Remember, it's all gonna be fine. Hi, Shavetta. Hi, sorry.
Janet.
Nice
I don't
to
have
see you.
Koulla's number, so you might want to text her.
I'm talking to her right now. She's
It looks
on the
like
phone.
they're joining. Hi,
Okay.
Koulla. Let me add them to the stage.
Hi. All right, I'm gonna hang up the phone. Hi, Jill.
Okay.
Hi, Santiago.
How you doing?
I was having a panic attack because I thought I was in the wrong place, though. I was like, Janet's gonna kill me.
No, I wouldn't have killed you. It would have been more like you would have killed me and never spoken to me again.
We were all in the wrong place.
I don't know what happened. That's so
It was just
weird.
the wrong link.
Yeah, that's so weird.
I don't know, but Jill was in here with the same link, so I don't know what happened with that.
All right, well, we're in the right place now. Can I just try, if I wanted to share my screen, can I just practice that?
So there's a present button and it says slides in PDF. So you can load your slides in PDF into here.
Right, I did mine too, because when I kind of want to just show the visuals when I'm talking about my stuff.
Okay, so I have a slide here. Is that what you want to show?
So the ones that I want to show is, oh, there it is. You can see mine. All right, the tip chart. And these are the resources that we've been using this year with some of the sentence frames and the bounce cards. And then like the levels of listening, we have this posted all around the school in all the classes. Like one of the teachers made large posters for all the grade levels. And then we have like what it looks like to be an active listener. This is also posted all around the school.
Look at how fancy you are.
I was like, I'm coming up with a backup.
I
pulled up my presentation.
I just brought myself to this party.
But Jill, if you want to use, like, that's why I did it too, because I'm like more visual, like, because you've been at these PDs. If you want to, like piggyback off of like, after Miss Santiago did the PD from Comir's Tier 1 strategies, these are some things that are in my room now that we use because all the classes have that. And then
okay, I see your slides in there, Janet. So I'll have to click a button to add them to the stage.
Well, these are mine. They're not Janet's.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I see Janet added.
Oh, good.
Separately. Okay. So I've clicked on yours, so I can unclick yours, so they're not there.
Right, perfect.
So whoever's going to talk first, you can give me a heads up. Like, can you let me show my slides and I'll add them on. So I'm going to do a brief intro and just introduce you all with your title card on. And yeah, it looks like we have a minute before we're already live. And so,
oh, my hair is a mess.
People joining us.
So I don't really need to show any slides. The only one maybe is the one with the 4 types of discourse. But Koulla, do you have that one in your?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, we'll just see how it goes.
Okay.
Because yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
it's gonna be fine. They're gonna be great. I appreciate you both so much. Right. So I'll start talking first, like we said, and it'll just be a conversation, and we'll be able to see each other, right?
I don't see you now.
Yeah, right now. I think this is just we're waiting for people to come in. And then
yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and go live and be live now. I think I might go ahead and do the intro. I see in our comments, we have Georgina saying good morning. So yes, okay, we are live. Okay. Good morning. Welcome everyone to Discourse Strategies, supporting students to find their voices with Janet, Jill, and Koulla. We're happy to have you here. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to our presenters to take over.
Thank you.
Please be active in the YouTube and throw up some comments and questions in that chat.
Okay, great. Well, Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. We're so excited to be with you all. I'm Janet Zarchen. I'm a consultant and also an associate member of the TheEdCollab, and I'm here today with Jill, Gabriel, and Koulla, Santiago. And in my work with Cormier Consulting, I provide support to the school that Jill and Koulla work at in Waterbury, Connecticut, and I'll let them introduce themselves in just a minute. So to give some context for this, when I heard that the theme of the conference was unmute, it made me think about the work I've been doing in the school in collaboration to support student discourse. I often think about how important discourse is as adults, but I myself think that I was never really taught that as a child. And even in the Japanese culture, there's a saying, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. So that doesn't really support a lot of robust discourse, especially if you disagree. So I think it's so important that we learn to fully express ourselves. That doesn't mean we say everything we think all the time, but we need to be strategic in how we're speaking to others. So we need to start when we're young. Koulla and Jill are really thoughtful, intentional teachers, and that's why I asked them to join me. I want them to share a little bit about what they're doing in the school, in the classroom, and it's more of an informal conversation with a little bit of strategies thrown in. So I'll just throw it out first. Jill, would you like to just introduce yourself and tell us about yourself?
Okay. Hi again. My name is Jill. Good morning to everyone. I just want to start by saying I've been teaching for a total of 18 years. That includes preschool, kindergarten, and library media. I'm currently a kindergarten teacher at Bucks Hill in Waterbury, Connecticut. And when I'm not checking homework, making copies, going to conferences, meetings, in my free time, I teach Sunday school and I serve on a ministry for clothing and food for the homeless. So, and that's me.
Koulla?
Hi, my name is Koulla Santiago. I've also been teaching for more than 13 years. I did do preschool during my college years, and now I'm currently teaching as a multilingual teacher at elementary school, Bucks Hill in Waterbury, and I love what I do, working with the kids in small groups and making the content accessible for them when they're in the classroom. And I'm also a mom of 2 kids, and they're not kids anymore. One's 24 and the other one's 20. And my son actually just came back from Japan, and he was telling me that he loved his experience. And then my daughter is going to be a junior at UConn. So I'm pretty proud of my children. And also in my free time, I do some volunteer work at my church. Thank you. That's
Great.
me.
Thank you. So we'll just start off with the first question. So why do you feel that teaching students to unmute themselves, to have student discourse, to share their thoughts and ideas, their beliefs, why is that important? So Koulla, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think it's important because students should be able to share their thinking and what their thoughts on of what they're learning. And I think when they have the opportunities to share and listen to each other and then respond to what their peers are saying, it like the learning is more meaningful for them. And they actually walk away understanding what the content is. So that my take on why students should be able to talk and be the ones to promote the questions within each other instead of it being more all teacher directed and teacher talking.
Thanks.
So for me, I certainly don't go to work every day wanting to teach statues. So I feel like this gives them the ability to share their opinions, their thoughts, to reinforce that their voice is important and that they get to buy in into the learning process. And so opening that door for them is going to provide success for them throughout the school year and into the future. So it's very good. So happy you came into our school, Janet.
Well, thanks. I'm happy to work with you. So, how have you taught students to have a discussion? Because knowing Jill, you're starting out with the very young ones, and Koulla, you're focusing on students who are learning English. What have you done?
So for me, I'm going to jump in, Koulla. Just for me, because they are young, probably this is for everybody, but respect is the key. Like there, you can't really have a conversation if they don't understand how to respect the person that they're speaking with. So respect, kindness in the conversation. Nothing is to be joked about or laughed at if, you know, maybe someone has their opinion that's different from, you know, yours. Whole body listening, eye contact is a big one. And just thinking clearly and speaking clearly, conveying your thoughts. And I do, and you know, Janet, that I do have a partner A and a partner B, so they understand who goes first and who goes next with taking turns.
So being very explicit with what they're to do. And I
Yes.
know Koulla, both of you, Jill and Koulla, have used different tools. And Koulla, do you want to share some of your slides that show some of the tools now? Would now be good?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I work with students in a small group of 6 or 7 students. So Jill is in the classroom of 20 students. So what I do is I have each student have a number, and then I roll a dice. So they never know who's going to get called on. And then I have from Dr. Comier Tier 1 Strategies, he has bounce cards. So they're in the middle of this presentation is what I shared with my school in the beginning of the year and in the middle of the year. And currently all the teachers are using some of these resources in their classroom. But anyways, what I do is I use these bounce cards, and the bounce cards have a listener and a speaker. And then there's also different types of question stems for them to use. And I have a copy hanging up on my wall, but I also have copies in front of the students. So some of the question stems would say, I believe, and then the student would have to respond to the question what they believe, and then I would roll the dice again, and then the next student would be the listener. So they would say, oh, I heard Johnny say he believes about blah, 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 but I think and add. So as Jill was saying, like just learning to have that eye contact, learning to respect, your peers. And that's a skill that students do need to learn at a young age, because we need that skill. It's a lifelong learning skill that will help the kids be successful in their middle school and high school and college and beyond that in their workplace. So just teaching the kids to be able, and sometimes like it's funny because they don't realize that they're not actually being active listeners. So there'll be sometimes I'm like, oh, all right, I don't know, Sue, your turn to share. What did Johnny say? And then Sue's like, oh, I didn't hear him. And then I'm like, all right, so how can we respectfully ask the person, to repeat themselves? So then that's another thing. Oh, Johnny, can you please repeat what you said, what you believe about whatever it was that we were learning? So the students know like that they catch themselves when they're actually not listening. And it's important to like for even myself to, am I really paying attention to the person in front of me? Am I giving them my undivided attention and not thinking about something else? Because I mean, we all do that even as adults. And there's actually like so this is another thing that we did at our school while I'm on that is levels of listening. And I went over this with my students, talk about different levels. And I'm like, have you ever been like a pretend listener where you're looking at your teacher, but you're actually thinking about recess? What are you going to do at recess? Who are you going to play with? I mean, I'm like, I've been a pretend listener before, like, but there's times, where we have to be an active listener and let's like work and build ways to get there. So this is also hanging these posters around our building in all the classes. So these are just a couple tools that I've used with my own students. And sometimes when they forget what an active listener looks like, I'll pull up this poster on my actually on my smartboard. I'll pull up this slide, and it's funny because it works with I work with K through 5, and I have students too with autism in some of my groups, and I just pull it up, and this visual helps the kids to get right back on track. And they're like, oh, am I being an active listener? So just teaching these little skills. But it's funny, like as an educator, like I would think that these students would already have some of these, but no, like some of these skills definitely need to be taught prior. And it does take a little time. Like it would probably take like a good 2 or 3 weeks to a month to teach students what it looks like to be an active listener, what the conversation sounds like. So like for me, that was my aha, wow, I need to teach them what it looks like to be an active listener.
So we're getting a lot of comments in the chat. I don't know if you're reading it while you're speaking, but comments like, we all need this, even adults, even us ourselves, right? So this is such a great thing to teach. Jill, would you like to share some of the strategies or tools you've used? You mentioned assigning A and B partners, but is there anything else that you've tried?
Again, what Koulla presented, those charts with the whole body listening. Sometimes I'll just point to my eyes and give them like a quick clue of what they need to do, or always include my brain. I'll say, well, we're thinking with our brain when we're listening to that person, or I'll point to my ear, so they know that these are the body parts with the whole body listening that they need to engage in their listening and their discourse. So so the charts, I definitely use those as well.
How about sentence stems? Has that come into play at all? I know we've talked about it, but I know sometimes it might not be the exact thing that you need.
Yes. So, giving them a statement, a prompt to use, and then let them follow through with the rest of their idea. So that is something that I include with the turn and talks, and with the think, pair, share. So when it'll help them articulate better what they want to say.
So what? Oh, go ahead.
All right.
Oh,
so there's been so what I've been trying to do with the students to get them to think deeper about the content that they're learning is I'll try to challenge them with some harder questions, like, can you explain a bit more, or what evidence from the text supports your thinking? Can you go back into the story and find whether we're reading informational or fiction? Like I'll have my students go back to find like why they were thinking the way that they're thinking. And just try to prompt them with some more like difficult questions, not difficult questions, but different types of questioning to help them really think about what they're talking about and what they're learning. Another question too is like, what inferences can you make, and what facts support your inferences, and what does inference mean? And then taking that as an opportunity, because I am working with multilingual learners. And what does inference mean? Oh, it means that you can make a guess, you're assuming. So then you're also tying in with your questioning the academic vocabulary. So it's just, I'm trying to get away of just having students say, I agree, and blah, 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 like very simple. Like I'm trying to, as the years progress, because we started this back in September, and now we're in May, like I'm trying to make my questioning that I'm asking them more intentional, so that the conversation is more like they're critically thinking about what they're talking about, instead of just, oh yeah, we're learning about erosion. Okay, like what about erosion? And can you explain, like, oh, okay, well, how does erosion change the earth? and just to get them to go in deeper. Oh, here's the Grand Canyon. Oh, the river, the Colorado River has been changing the Grand Canyon over the years. I see it right here. And look at the rocks, how they've changed. And, just having them, and this is second grade. So at 7 and 8 years old, they're able to do it in kindergarten with Miss Gabriel. Like the students are doing it to get to that critical thinking level and not making it basic.
Sorry, I'd like to bring up the other slides if possible, just to share that 4 types of discourse. I don't know if I have control over that. Let's see. This one is the one I wanted to share. So one thing that we've shared with our schools and are these different types of discourse strategies, and it's a way to scaffold the conversation. So type 1 being more basic ideas and using these sentence stems. Type 2 being where students can elaborate and support with details. Type 3 where they can express their opinions and interpretations. And type 4 where they can work to persuade and negotiate in a conversation. And one thing through my work with different schools is that we tell teachers that with some intentional planning in one lesson, it's possible to have all 3 types of conversation, and you can differentiate for your students depending on where they are. So I just want to share this because I know Jill and Koulla think about this, and this is always a support that's there for them. So Jill and Koulla, Jill, if you'd like to go, what are some successes you've seen in your students? What are some of the areas of growth?
I just think there's more of a willingness to share. I see that they're able to talk about their ideas and then add it into their writing. When I give them a writing prompt or some type of writing activity, I see more now they're expressing more of their ideas instead of getting like one sentence. Maybe I'm up to 2, 3 sentences now in kindergarten. I encourage them, whatever happened in the day, go home and discuss that with their families. So now they're able to express themselves and give an account of their day instead of their parents saying, well, how was your day? Fine. What happened? I don't know. And so we go over extending their thoughts and their conversation. So, I mean, I absolutely love that, that they're able to take what they have learned in school as far as discourse and extend that to something beyond school. So some good successes there.
And do you want to segue into challenges that you've noticed?
For me, I noticed that I still have some reluctant speakers. I am one myself, but so I just want to think of more ways for them to feel at ease, to feel comfortable. Just give them more opportunities, I think, to express their ideas. But before that happens, maybe pull them aside prior and say, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. Get yourself ready. Think about these ideas so that when the time comes, they won't go into shock when I say turn and talk to your partner.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some things right there. And challenges, I have talkers that I want to kind of slow down a little bit. So finding time for them to have their conversations. Because I don't want to be, the one to always say, okay, well, this is a structure. You can only turn and talk to your partner at this time. So just including more turn and talk time, but not as a requirement for a lesson or anything like that. Just free time for them.
Yeah, more open-ended, right? And
Yes.
kind of organic. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. Yes.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Koulla, how about you? Successes and challenges that you see in your teaching and in your students?
Some of the successes are, I'm going to piggyback off of Jill, is that the students are more comfortable and they're talking to each other and they're talking about the content. So like for me as an educator, like I noticed like this year, the students are more engaged and they're paying attention the entire time because they know that they're, you know, it's part of the expectation of the group. And it's not like it does feel more organic, like it's natural. It's not like, oh, hold on, raise your hand, wait your turn. Like I noticed in the previous years, like I've done that. And you know what? The kids check out or they get mad when you call on someone else and it's not, you don't call on them. So like this way, there's none of that. That doesn't happen. Like the students they're excited about their learning and they like to talk about what they're learning and they do listen to each other and their peers. And I feel, you know, over the past year, the kids have become like, you know, closer and more respectful to one another than in previous years. And then some of the challenges is that I find is that just coming up with the right questioning for the planning sometimes and just making sure that I'm really getting everything out of the lesson that I want to get out from them because the time goes by so fast. And like I know Jill could agree with me, like, you know, being a teacher, it's like you're teaching this, but it's just it just flies. So just maximizing my time. And the challenge is for me more as an educator, like maximizing my time with my groups. But another success I did forget, the students are definitely writing more and they're writing about the content. So we are at Bucks Hill, we've been working on writing along with discourse strategies. And it's nice to see that they're able to reflect their learning in their writing. Again, this goes for K-5 and, you know, students with autism, all students in our school. So I feel like these scaffolds are really good to help all students, no matter what level that they are. So that's another success too of using these strategies.
Yeah. I can't remember if either of you mentioned, but for the people who are joining us, Bucks Hill School is a bilingual school. At every grade level, they have at least one bilingual Spanish classroom. Some grade levels, I have more than one. So Discourse is being used not only in the English classes, but also in the bilingual classes. So I think that's really exciting because the writing is happening in English and Spanish. And for those students who are moving from a bilingual class into an English class, it certainly is helping them as well. So we only have a few more minutes. I just want to ask you both, what are your next steps? What are your hopes? What are your dreams for you as a professional and for your students?
For me, it's to continue the work that we're doing with Discourse and getting the kids to go deeper, to extend the exchanges during the conversation. You know, right now, student A might speak and then student B will reply, but I want to keep that going into a full discussion for kindergarten. So that's a challenge, but it's also something that I see that can be done. The more that I learn what to do, I think the better I'll be able to teach my students about discourse and just speaking and communicating.
And then I'm going to add on to that. Like I want to continue using these tools with my students because it's building that respect for one another, which I think is very important. But my next step as an educator is to really look at my planning and think about ways that I can be more intentional with my planning and more intentional with my questioning. And I would love to see my students come up with their own questions, you know, after working, you know, throughout the year and then start building their own questions for one another that just builds deeper thinking for the content that we're learning. So that would be really nice to see for next year. But I'm definitely going to continue using these resources.
Good. Is there anything either of you would like to say that I haven't asked you about or that didn't come up?
I just want to talk about just a short story, a quick aha moment that I had. So my student had to go to another class because I had to leave early. Okay, there was like some kind of problem in the class. So I was talking to the teacher of that classroom, and the student was with me. So I was trying to speak on his behalf. Right? So I was saying, this is what he meant. This is what he was saying. I'm telling the teacher that. But he interjects and he says, no, that's not what I was saying. And it just blew my mind because I grew up with a parent who said, only speak when you're spoken to. Don't get involved in adult conversation. But it just made me think, he's articulate. He knows what happened. I wasn't there. Why wouldn't I let him into the conversation? So it just made me rethink a lot of things that I grew up learning. And there he is telling his side of the story. And it was very articulate, very clear. And we solved the problem right there.
So I think, thank you, Jill. I think that's a perfect way to end our conversation. I told you both that the time was going to go fast and I didn't lie. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you, Koulla and Jill, so much.
Thank you, Janet, Jill, and Koulla. And thank you all for everyone who was active in the chat. Great connections to the discourse strategies that they all shared. Just a reminder that the gathering has always been free to attend. So if you felt inspired by this session, we ask that you visit our charity page and pay the joy forward. And also I want to give a quick plug to our next session on physical notebooks as sounding boards. Process writing, writing to think, writing to collaborate. You can join that session, as well as a book talk highlighting Caribbean characters and creators of books. So thank you for joining and being active in the chat, and we'll see you at the next sessions. Thank you, Janet, Jill, and Koulla.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.